Okay, so problem 19. An array of numbers is constructed beginning with the numbers -1, 3, 1 in the top row. Each adjacent pair of numbers is summed to produce a number in the next row. And then each row begins and ends with -1 and 1. So this is kind of like Pascal's triangle, right? But instead of like the normal numbers we have these numbers that they gave us in the problem, right? And now it's saying if the process continues, one of the rows will sum to this very precise number here, 12,288. And we're asked to find the third number from the left. Okay, so a good way to start here is by trying to notice a pattern with the sum of numbers in each of these rows, right? So the top row is just going to be 3, right? Because the ones and negative ones cancel out. So it's going to be 3, and then we get 6, and then we get 12. So we're multiplying by 2 each time, right? The next sum of rows is going to be 24, then 48, etc. Right? So our sum here is always going to be 3 times a power of 2. So we'll let this equal 3 times 2 to the power of n. Okay. So the problem says that this is summing to 12,288. So let's set this equal to 12,288, right? So now we have to divide both sides by 3 to get 2 to the power of n is equal to 12,288 over 3. That is conveniently equal to 4,096. Right, so now that means that n equals 13. Right, so we essentially want the third term in the 13th row. Okay, so that kind of simplifies it down a bit, right? So we need the third term in 13th row. Okay, so how are we going to get the third term? Well, let's first start off by figuring out how we even get to the second term. The second term is always going to decrease by 1, right? Because we're always going to be adding on to this -1. So it's going to be 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, dot, 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 all the way down to the 13th row, right? But we want the third term, not the second term. So how do we get to the third term of a number? To get to the third term of a number, what do we have to do? So let's take the second row, for example, right? What did we have to do for the second row to get to the third term, right? We had to add the second term of the previous row and the third term of the previous row, right? So to get to the third term of any number, we're going to add the second term of the previous row and the third term of the previous row, which is going to be equal, and then the third term of the previous row is the second row of the second term of the other previous row, plus the third term of the other previous row. So it's kind of just like going back on itself, if you understand what I mean, right? Like if I want this third term here, 6, right? 6 is equal to the second term of the previous row plus the third term of the previous row, right? But now the third term of the previous row can be further broken down into the second term of the previous row plus the third term of the previous row. So we can express 6 as the third term of the previous row plus the other second terms, right? So let's try to do something similar for this 13th row, right? To get to the third term on the 13th row, what we're going to essentially do is add the third term of the first row and then all subsequent second terms. So what we essentially have to do then, it's really simple. We just have to add 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0 plus -1 plus -2 all the way until we get to that 13th row, right? Because the third term, it all boils down to the third term of the first row. After that, we can just continue adding second terms. So to get to the third term in the 13th row, what we have to do is we have to do 1, right? This third term in the first row, plus the second term the third term in the first row, right? The second term in the first row, and then we have to keep going down until the 13th row. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0 minus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, and then one more, right? Plus 8. This, I think, gives us 13, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to give us the term at the 13th row, right? Yeah, okay. So now we just have to evaluate what this exactly is, right? So 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is going to be 7. So 7. And then we have the sum of the first 8 numbers, right? So that's going to be 36. So the answer here is just 7 minus 36. And that's going to be equal to negative 29. So the final answer for problem number 19 is going to be A. A, negative 29. Okay,